This is Valley News Live at noon.
Good afternoon, everyone. You might need to grab an umbrella on the way out of the door. Lisa Green is here with what we can expect for the rest of the day. Hey, Lisa.
Hey, it's been a soggy start to the day for many of us, especially in the Southern Valley, where we've had some rain, some thunderstorms moving through. Now a lot of that rain starting to move on, the severe threat kind of pushing southward at this point. And you can see there's two areas. The main area that's working its way eastward. We heard from a viewer who called in from Pelican Rapids saying that the wind was going crazy behind this rain, and that's what's been going on here today. In the wake of the rain that's been moving through, we get what's called a wake low, and that creates some really strong winds. So be ready for some gusts above 40 miles per hour in some of these areas. And then leading up to that, that steady rain still going on into Otterdale County, back up over to parts of Becker and Wadena and the Hubbard County areas too. And there's one little thunderstorm trying to get going just west of the valley and right at that border between Lemoore and Dickey counties. That one's been popping up, so that's going to just continue to move eastward, and it's a possibility we'll see an isolated shower or thunder shower this afternoon. Speaking of that wind, check out Detroit Lakes, a report of 48 miles per hour. So that just came in at the top of the hour. So we're seeing some of those strong winds pick up behind that rain. So be ready for that as that's departing. And other than that, some breeze into the 20s at times. Our conditions right now, 50s to some low 60s. We have sunshine now in Fargo after a rainy morning. So we're going to let you know how the rest of the day is just shaping up for us in your hour-by-hour planner, and a look ahead to the weekend too coming up.
That rain was really, excuse me, coming down this morning. I even remember to bring a jacket, Lisa.
Yeah, you know, it is going to be cool this afternoon, so you'll definitely want something, an extra layer to keep you warm in this cooler temperature. I mean, it's August and we're talking 60s.
I think we're getting cold in the studio. Thanks, Lisa. We're following breaking news for you out of Afghanistan. American forces are among the casualties from an attack in Afghanistan. This comes as the U.S. is trying to get its citizens and Afghan allies out of the country before the August 31st deadline. Steve Dorsey has more details from the White House.
Multiple explosions and gunfire were reported outside the airport in Kabul, Afghanistan. Pentagon Press Secretary John Kirby tweeted, quote, "The explosion at the Abbey Gate was the result of a complex attack that resulted in a number of U.S. and civilian casualties. We can also confirm at least one other explosion at or near the Baron Hotel, a short distance from Abbey Gate." There had been intelligence reports of a possible attack, with the State Department issuing a warning overnight for Americans to stay away from the airport. President Biden was briefed on the attack as he met with his National Security Council this morning. It remains to be seen what kind of impact this will have on efforts to evacuate the estimated 1,500 Americans or the tens of thousands of Afghan allies before the August 31st deadline.
Our commitment in this country and our involvement in this country doesn't end on that date. We believe that there will be possibilities for Americans to be able to get out of this country.
But critics on Capitol Hill are skeptical and are calling on the president to keep American forces there until the last person is safely out.
This isn't about Republican or Democrat. It's about America and about the expectation of what the American handshake means to those that were willing to put their lives at risk to be able to help us and our service members and our diplomats on the ground.
CBS News has confirmed 2 more lawmakers tried to make it into Kabul to see the situation for themselves, but their plane was not allowed to land. Steve Dorsey, CBS News, the White House.
2 other congressmen, Democrat Seth Moulton and Republican Peter Meijer, made it to Kabul Tuesday. The Pentagon said it had to divert soldiers away from missions in order to protect the lawmakers. Well, new for you at noon, a building is destroyed from a major fire along Miles Avenue Southeast. That's just outside of Bemidji, Minnesota. The fire department says they responded to this house fire from around 8:30 on Wednesday night. 32 firefighters spent 2.5 hours with 11 pieces of equipment putting this fire out. The structure and contents are a total loss, and the fire continues to be under investigation. Police in Pennington County are asking for your help finding a robbery suspect. The sheriff's office says the man appears to have a revolver tattooed on his hip. If you have any information about the suspect or the robbery, contact the Pendleton County Sheriff's Office at the number on your screen. A fire in downtown Fargo forced a temporary evacuation of an apartment building overnight. Fire crews got the call around midnight about flames on the roof at 110.5 9th Street South. They found a fire had moved from the roof into the wall of an apartment in the second story. They put it out in about a half an hour, but spent a couple of hours looking for hot spots. No one was hurt, but 2 people are displaced. The cause is under investigation, but the fire is not considered suspicious. The initial damage estimate is $30,000. The Greenwood Fire in northeastern Minnesota has destroyed at least 12 homes so far, and it only continues to grow. Volunteers from the Red Cross have set up a 24-hour shelter for people who have been evacuated. It's also a place where people can get a hot meal and health or mental health support. The Red Cross says volunteers are the core of their operations, whether the disaster is big or small.
So our volunteers are there to be there for their neighbors, to make a difference. And so whether that's people over in this area or the wildfires, or whether it's the great volunteers that you have over in North Dakota and western Minnesota, it's really the same thing, whether it's a big disaster or a small one. It's there to be there for people, to provide comfort, and really deliver hope.
The Red Cross is looking for volunteers to work at shelters locally and during national disaster responses, like the flooding in Tennessee or wildfires in California. There's also a need for health services volunteers, like nurses or people with a medical background. If you want to get involved, just head to redcross.org. Well, today is the day that West Fargo students return to class. Masks aren't required, but if they aren't vaccinated, they're recommended to wear one. This comes from the district's decision to go from mask optional to mask recommended for those unvaccinated. A letter was sent home to parents and staff on the matter. Staff does remind parents to not use the car loop to get out of the car and hug their children when dropping them off, because that's backing up the lot. Make sure your child is sitting in the passenger side of the car on the same side as the drop-off so the child does not go in the street when heading into the school. Well, coming up at noon, if you have a cruise planned anytime soon, you might want to listen up. We'll tell you who the CDC says should skip cruises altogether. And it's still pretty wet outside. Weather up next to plan your day with meteorologist Lisa Curran.